Okay. Yes, he did talk to me.
Good afternoon. I would like to call to order this agenda review for this, the 19th day of February 2025. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Dollison.
Here.
Commissioner Mercer.
Here.
Commissioner Dantzler, who is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Yates.
Here.
And Mayor Birdsong.
Here. We would then have present the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation and presentations. We have none, no developments of note. Then we will approve the minutes. So ordinances, second reading, we've already heard the first reading. So City Manager, is there anything new?
No changes to any of it, sir. I will say on the city seal, we have, I think it's included in your packet is attachment A. It will show up. We have colorized this to the city's current color palette, so it won't be the fluorescent-y, orangey, greeny. It's a little more earth toned, but we'll just as it shows there, just be colorized. Just want to let you know that.
I don't think I have. You're talking about the seal, but
It's in the, oh gosh, it's what's displayed on the screen. But we'll provide for you a colored copy of that for Monday evening.
It's in there.
Second
I saw it.
page,
Yeah.
9E. Second page, 9E.
Oh, so you went all the way through all of them?
Yeah, all the other ones. are the
All
same.
of the, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I was not clear, sir. Yeah, all the other
I'm
items are
looking
the
up
same, no
there, what is-
changes.
what is-
That was the only comment I had was with 9E, that we have colorized that logo to match our current color palette.
All right. So then we have the consent agenda, and there are a couple, 3 items on that.
So the first one, if I may, is the Cando Pulse waste monitoring solution. This is designed to track and manage wastewater networks. This is not too awful different from what we do with our smart sewer covers. This uses advanced sensors and analytics to provide real-time data on the condition of the sewer systems, and it allows us to detect irregularities, predict issues, and prevent environmental pollution. So it's actually looking more at the concentration of the wastewater that's flowing through there. So you can see the smart covers actually tell us when we have a flow that's getting high. This tells us more about the actual flow. So this includes a subscription to the hardware. I understand from staff this is 10 to 12 items of hardware that we can move about as need be, and they would be placed strategically within our system. When a pollution event is detected, they automatically grab sample cultures, a representative sample from that, then uses a data analytics engine to understand what's going on there. They use a proprietary algorithm to analyze that, and then we have a dashboard that allows us to monitor. So if somebody dumps something, if there was I don't know, Gary, what would you say, a slug or something that came through, a spill, a fats, oil, grease contamination, it's going to pick up on that. Is that the best way to explain that?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So this is looking more at the characteristics of the wastewater flow itself. For example, we have people in the past have dumped septic tanks. So those types of things would show up. More extreme events. When I was in South Carolina, we had a company that was dumping PCBs in a sewer system, and it completely deadened the system. They had to abandon it. So this technology is to spot these events that occur so that we get some advance warning before it gets to our treatment facility.
Okay, great.
I say it kind of goes hand in hand with industrial pre-treatment. That's treating stuff before it gets to us. That's stuff that we know that's out there. But if there was, let's say, a milk hauler that had a spoiled tank and was a bad actor and dumped that into one of our systems, we might never pick that up, but this would help detect that.
Yeah, we wouldn't realize it until it reaches the facility. This way we'll catch it ahead of time. And, hopefully we'll be able to deal with it at that point in time.
Is it going to be like the manholes? Is it going to measure the flow through the lines, or is it going to be located somewhere else? I
So
mean,
it will be located in key manholes throughout the system so that we can determine, what is happening. So we'll start with about 4 sensors, and then we'll expand on up from there to 10 to 12 sensors throughout the system.
okay, so on the wastewater system, there's certain lift stations that tie in, and you would be able to trace all of that?
Right. So
Back up the line?
That's correct.
Okay.
So this is a 1-year subscription. It's $135,000 for that first year. And this is budgeted within the 2025 budget.
Okay. All right. So that's something we have to continue every year.
So, and for us, I think the best, it's a very innovative approach. I think it's very proactive and certainly helps ensure the integrity of our systems. We'll learn through the first year. I think it's going to provide some great data and give us some idea of how best to proceed, but it would come back year over year.
Okay, great.
Item 10B, this is owner direct purchasing of some lift station pumps. So we have 2 projects that are underway, lift station 119 and 191. A little confusing there in terms of the numbers, but this is work that has already been approved by the City Commission. Oftentimes when we're doing capital projects, we will pursue owner direct purchases. That allows us to forego paying the sales tax as well as markups that the contractors provide on the purchase of equipment. So this is to purchase the bypass pumps for those 2 lift stations. This is budgeted in the fiscal year 24-25. There's also some funding that is going towards one of these projects, lift station 191, which is associated with our septic to sewer 6A project. And there's a image of what those pumps look like.
Okay. All right. And the next item is just travel for us. So that's, have to.
So that is the legislative junket to Washington, D.C. that will take place in late April, I think the end of April into the first day or 2 of May.
All right.
And we're making those arrangements now.
First resolution, 2507.
This is, pull it up real quick. So this is LGI Homes, and this is the Peach Crossing subdivision. This is located at the corner of Pollard Road and Eloise Loop. Eagle Lake Loop Road, you can see the image there. Immediately to the south of this would be our wastewater treatment plant. This is a 13.6 plus or minus acre subdivision, has 52 building lots, 7 common lots. All water, sewer, reuse lines, and related infrastructure will be owned and maintained by the city. All the roads and there's stormwater will be dedicated and operated by the Homeowners Association. They did issue a performance bond in the amount of $1.24 million to guarantee completion of all their infrastructure. That was upon the Commission's approval of the platting back in July of 23. Recent inspections by our staff have found that all incomplete improvements are now complete, and all water, wastewater reuse lines can now be accepted by the city, and the aforementioned performance bond released. So this is just a resolution to release that bond.
All right. And 2508.
This is from ERPC Peace Creek LLC, and they are requesting final plat approval for the Annabelle Estates subdivision. This is a 95.38 acre subdivision that contains 324 building lots and 12 common lots. This is going to be towards the southeast side of town. AJ, if you can fly your mouse over to where it says Highway 653 for me. That open area right there, that is the new South Point Elementary School, to give you some frame of reference. All water, sewer, utilities will be owned and maintained by the city. All drainage conveyances, internal roadways, and street lighting will be maintained by the CDD that is assigned to this subdivision. They have issued a performance bond in the amount of $860,622 to cover the cost of the remaining infrastructure items, which include sanitary sewer, potable water, some off-site improvements, and engineering certification. Water service for this subdivision will be through the Winter Haven water system, and wastewater will be treated at Plant 3. There is adequate capacity in those systems to serve the subdivision. Using an estimated taxable value of $300,000 per lot, the subdivision will have an estimated taxable value of just over $97 million and will generate just over $640,000 per year in city ad valorem taxes at our current millage rate. So staff's going to recommend approval of resolution R2508.
Okay. Then we have one new business item, 13A.
So I'm going to start this one off, and I'm going to ask Eric, and I don't see Brian Wells with us, but to give a little insight on this. You know, we're constantly trying to improve our customer experiences, how we interface with customers. This is a product that is specifically tied to the building division. As you know, we do a tremendous amount of work through the building division, whether it's single family or commercial or multifamily permits, all of the smaller permits for home improvements. One of the challenges with that is just the ability to stay in constant dialogue and manage all the different nuances of permitting. Excella is a cloud-based permitting and licensing software solution. This is currently utilized by Polk County as well as a number of other cities and counties across the state for application submittals, permit application submittals, permitting itself, plan reviews, and building inspections. So it provides improved efficiencies and better, more responsive customer services for our citizens and builders. It partners with a complementary software system. So there's actually three components to this. There's Excella, and there's a product called Selectron, which integrates with Excella to provide additional options, including the inspection scheduling and proactive communication with contractors and home builder or homeowners via text message and web-based map-centric inspection management tools. If you've taken a vehicle, say, for service, and sometimes they'll text you your vehicle is ready, or when you're waiting for delivery or a service person to your house, you get that text message that says, hey, we're on our way, our expected time is this. This kind of does the same thing on the building inspection side. So with as fast as building is happening, it's just a great way for us to communicate. And then it also includes a dashboard to help us with our workload balancing. And then the final component is a software solution known as, is it Burn, Eric? Burn, is that saying that correctly? And this is the group that provides the training and the ongoing support services for this. As I mentioned, Polk County is already using this. We just recently had a situation, the deputy city manager was trying to help a customer with a permit question they had. We reached out to Brian Wells, our building official, discovered that their permitting was through the county, not through us, and he was able to go through the county's portal for this system and identify exactly where everything was in the process. So it's a much more user-friendly, customer-centric solution for building permitting. Love to be able to find something like this for all the services we do, and that's certainly something that is in our priorities. But this is a great way to start it off within building. Because the county already uses this, they're allowing us to use their templates that have already been configured for the platform. So there'll be a lot of similarities between ours and the county. That's helpful for developers and builders because it's a common language. It's a common system. It looks the same. It functions the same. By using those pre-developed templates, we reduce our implementation costs with Excella from anywhere $200,000 to $300,000 down to just a little over $80,000. So, and again, creating consistency. This is a 5-year agreement with all three firms combined, Excella, Selectron, and Burn. The total cost over that 5 years is just over $527,000. In your fact sheet, we do spell out how much is allocated per year, or what the expense would be. We do have funding within the building division to pursue this. As you know, we have to spend building fee revenue only within building. So this is, I think, just a great solution to create some efficiencies and better customer service there. So it would be a 5-year contract at the $527,001 amount. And as I said, that is budgeted within the 2024-25 building division fund. We'll continue to budget years 2 through 4 as we go forward.
All right, thank you.
And I believe Eric shared with me, probably about a 6-month window to get this up and running.
Yeah, I actually reached out, and because we're using Polk County's templates, the typical implementation time is between 6 and 9 months. They believe they'll be able to do it in approximately 4 months for us.
So
Great.
I think that, again, just looking at how we're doing business, these are the types of solutions we want to be able to communicate better with our customers, whether it's a developer or it's a water customer or whatever. We'll continue to explore these types of options.
All right, thank you, sir. So then we will have all our reports, but 16A, the grant and aid applications, you're going to do that tonight, or?
If I could, I think
Yeah.
this is something we can take this evening under consensus from the commission. Just give you a little update on grant and aid. And I want to give credit to Katrina Hill and Maggie Giles and the entire team from Public Affairs and Communication that have helped navigate this process. As you know, we started the improvement process several years ago, and we continue to make it better and better each year. We have kicked off our grant and aid mandatory training sessions. We have had 2 of those so far. The third one will be this Saturday. I believe is it at noon, at 10 a.m. We have had 92 unique individuals attend the first 2, representing 72 different organizations. We have presently 46 registered for this weekend. So that gets to be a pretty good number. Just because they register doesn't mean everybody shows up. But again, 92 through the first 2 training sessions. To give you a little background from last year, we had 64 organizations that attended those trainings. So far, we've had 72 just in the first 2. So more and more people are pursuing the grant and aid program. They're taken through a PowerPoint presentation. We go through the application with them, where to find all their information, make it as simple and easy to navigate as possible. And certainly our staff is available for questions as they go through that. I want to commend the chair of that committee, which is Alex Santiago. He's attended both of the training sessions and has offered comments to the applicants, giving them some guidance and asking them to make sure they follow the policies and the procedures with the program and the challenges that committee has in trying to make sound decisions there. So we're grateful for his additional time to do that. We do have a couple questions that just need some guidance from the commission on. And I'll go through these. It's really 3 things for us to consider, for you all to consider. The first is, I'd like to get some clarification from the commission on how to address funding requests that come in from schools, our public schools, our charter schools. We have seen last year, and I anticipate this year, we may get requests from, these are other governmental entities at the end of the day that are applying for grant funds from the city. And what is the commission's take on that, as well as requests that come in from other organizations that have established functioning foundations. And 2 of those that come to mind would be Winter Haven Hospital Foundation and the Polk State College Foundation. Both of those have applied for funds in the past, and both, they're well established. So just so we can give some direction to the Grant and Aid Application Review Committee on those 2 categories in particular would be helpful. If you have a thought on, do you want money to go towards public schools or charter schools? And do you want consideration also to be given to established foundations?
I think our posture has been in the past that we were staying away from schools. And foundations, I don't
think so.
I don't know if we want to start funding,
That.
trying to fund foundations.
I mean, that's just
I
looking for
mean,
consensus so we can give some direction there.
Yeah, I agree on the schools and the private and public schools. I mean, they have their own mechanisms of funding and requesting funds. The foundation one, we're not funding necessarily the foundation per se, but you're saying that if the entity has a foundation and that entity is requesting funds.
So sorry to interrupt you, Commissioner. We get a request last year, Katrina, help me out here. We had one from Polk State College Foundation for a specific program that they wanted to do. So that check is cut to the Polk State Foundation. The application is tied specifically to a program within that. And I think the Winter Haven Hospitals was the same. I think it was maybe a heart program or something that they were wanting to do.
The Polk State, we've actually had applications from the foundation and from the school. So 2 applications, one for an athletic program from the school and one for a clothing program where they partner with Top Buttons from the foundation. And both of those entities have attended training again. So they gave us 2.
I guess my concern is, like, for example, just let's pick the Haley Center. If the Haley Center had a foundation, my concern is I don't want to throw necessarily the baby out with the bathwater, but at the same time, like Polk State and Winter Haven Hospital, and they have their own mechanisms for funding and raising funds. Is my thought. I just worry about unintended consequences of someone establishing a foundation. That one's tough for me.
Well, we can leave it in. I mean, it's the commission's pleasure, and just have the committee review on the foundation ones. What's the actual program? The schools is one that's come up in the past, and I think that's probably the bigger question of the two. Of if it's a charter school that's sponsored by Polk County Public Schools, or a public school that is requesting funds. What direction should we give the committee in that regard?
So you're saying you think we're going to get some applicants?
Cypress Junction Montessori has applied the last 3 years. And then there were representatives from the district here at training, and I've had some inquiries from other schools as well. And I believe Jewett has applied for a specific program in the past.
See, I think I like funding, personally, I like funding Kids Pack and those entities that are providing services for the schools and not the schools directly, is my thought on that. I mean, the schools can go out and have fundraisers and apply for different grants and funding that we don't have access to through the state or the federal level. And we've got so many applicants coming before us now, more than ever before. The money is going to be stretched so thin as it is. I just, that one is my thought.
Mine too.
I agree.
What about you, Rick? I concur.
Okay, I appreciate that. We have, I believe it's 6 different agencies that we have referred to as some of our legacy agencies. These are agencies that have been funded at relatively higher levels for a historic period of time. The commission has continued to do that just as recently as 2024. Those include the Public Education Partnership, which has been funded at $20,000, Girls Inc. at $20,000, the Neighborhood Service Center at $20,000, Boys and Girls Club at $45,000, Meals on Wheels at $20,000, and the Haley Center at $20,000. Again, those are going back before we opened this process up. Those were the historical entities that the commission had funded. And so when the committee gets together and begins deliberating on all the applications, would you like to see those considered at their historical levels versus bringing their numbers down to fund more people?
So on the topic of funding, so where are we at budget-wise with the number allocated this year, and is that something?
We don't have that yet.
Okay. So because that kind of answers that question.
Yeah. So we last year funded $316,000, which was the highest year yet. I usually go into this process with that number, whatever it was prior year, and unless the commission wants that increase, then we have to find that money as we begin the budgeting process. And last year, we went in at 305, and based upon feedback from the commission, that's how it got to 316. When we had some agencies that we brought back, the committee gave back money and the commission increased that amount.
And in our general fund, are we, we're still earning interest on that money that's in the general fund at the state level, correct? And then that includes our reserve fund as well. That's earning interest that the city gets to take in as well. And are we budgeting? We're not budgeting for those gains of interest, are we?
We let CJ respond to that. We're very conservative with our interest earnings in terms of forecasting.
So all our cash, we transfer over to the SBA and earn interest. And then based on each fund, what their cash balance is, they're going to get an allocation of the interest earnings. Now, when we budget really low. Right now, we're getting about 4.5% in interest earnings. So we do reflect an earnings revenue in the budget.
In that budget, what are we, you said we're conservative on that number. What, do you have an idea of what that
So we're going to budget like interest earnings of like 2 to 3%.
2%? So there's potentially a 1.5 to 2.5% spread in there. I'm just thinking, like, to me, that's like an easy place. Like that's money that we're being smart and putting aside, and in case of an emergency situation that we're benefiting from, and maybe we could let this program benefit from those gains is where I was going with that. I mean, because that's got to be a big number.
Well,
right?
I paid for the police department's roof.
Yeah.
That was like close to 300. Yeah.
How much?
Close to 300. I think it was like 286.
Well, I just, if we increased the number last year, and we are going to get more applications. So we have some things, we set a policy in place where new agencies, we basically limit the amount of money that they could possibly get. Didn't we do that?
Yes, sir.
So I'd just like to keep the level at what we had last year and see what the requests equate to this time. And then
Yeah, I guess my concern though is the sooner we can get the committee an idea of what that number is that they're working with, the easier it is for them to function and distribute the funds as requested as well.
so they won't actually get the applications until when?
The application window closes March 14th, and then we have input a new step in the process this year where we'll work with anyone who is not meeting all of the requirements and give them 2 weeks to correct their applications if they have issues. That window will close April 11th. The Grant and Aid Review Committee will get their binders on April 17th.
So,
Tracy's got a question.
oh, go ahead.
I kind of think that we should start out with the same amount because we don't know how many applications and we don't know currently what the future may bring in some of the grant funding either. So if we have this interest rate and if we determine, and we will be determining which way to go with some of these new applicants and things like that, and the old ones too, we'll get to kind of look at those. And if there is a demand for more money, we can always increase it at that time.
Well, I was thinking to Brian's point, the earlier we can give the committee. But I think based on the schedule that you just stated, we would have time to do that. After, and,
Yeah.
but we would have more information to try to come up with the amount, is what I'm saying. And they will, and still have enough time to give them an amount.
So are we suggesting that the committee, to a point, yes, that's the budget, but don't worry about the budget to a point to where, allocate funds to each one and then come back to us and say, okay, this is how much we need, or?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, based on what Katrina just said, is it relates to a schedule that you won't get the applications until, did I understand you, April? And so they're not in your training workshops. You're not giving people parameters of what to apply in the applications, are you? How much money?
They have the caps that they can apply based on if they're a newer or returning applicant.
Mhm.
From there, we let them know that the final budget hasn't been determined yet, so we can't guarantee any funding to any specific amount of organizations. I will know, staff will know by March 14th how many applications we have and how much funding has been requested. And the binders don't go to the committee until April 17th because we use that time for fact checking and corrections. So there is a window there where we could provide additional details.
So can we put that on the calendar for March 24th to have this discussion, and then at that point have a better understanding of what might be available to add to the budget?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Mayor Pro Tem, is for us being able to give that committee some parameters within which to work. So here's how much money you have. Here's those legacy partners. What do you want to do with those that you've historically funded at higher levels? And where do your priorities or least priorities, schools, foundations, those types of things, right? So we've got some time on that. And I think that's fine. I think it's more about just getting this out in front of you so you can begin thinking about that.
Thank you.
We'll know how many applicants we have. The other question that I would ask of the committee, of this group for the committee, would be the direction given to them in years past has been try and help as many organizations as you can with smaller awards versus only a handful with larger awards. So you spread that around as much as possible. And that would be direction that we would want to give to the committee at that time as well.
Right, we'll have plenty, we'll have time to do that.
But I think to the point you were asking earlier too, though, as it relates to the legacy. And one of the questions was whether or not we will maintain that level at the current level, or we would either make adjustments there, therefore we'd be able to maybe fund more groups since we are seeing an increase.
Mhm.
I guess the question is, for me, I don't know how the legacies were originally established and whether or not that should be maintained every year, or would it be evaluated or given others an opportunity, or we just deem that these particular ones are worthy of this amount, and we just kind of set that in, and that kind of goes on without much review. So I don't, again, maybe I need some help because I'm new to it. So I don't want to, I don't mean to speak against any of those organizations. I think all of them are worthy, to be clear. And I know there are many others as well. But I just think that how that was established, maybe it would be helpful to me. And I think for the committee, if you got new people on the committee who are coming in, that may be a question they're asking too, is that, so we basically start off with this group or these particular organizations this is set, so to speak. And then we got to dole out the rest to whoever's left over.
And Commissioner Dawson, that's actually spot on to what's happened in the past of these. We wanted to, I say we, the commission had given us direction when we started this program with opening up the application and setting caps for the application, that those that were funded at these higher levels, that they not be reduced down to that. These were agencies that were, I can't even tell you how they came to be within the city commission budget or the city budget years back. You know, we're going back into the 70s and 80s, that there was only a handful of agencies that were funded year over year. We only opened this up to outside applications probably within the last 5 or 6 years. So these were historically funded within there.
And also, Commissioner Dollison, those legacy agencies, most of them have been funded the last 20 years.
Yep.
And they were funded at a much higher level. There was, I forgot what year it was, we basically reduced them down.
During the recession.
Yeah, and we've never elevated the funding back to the levels that were years ago, so.
And I don't want to speak for, past commissions, but, certainly their focus on Girls Inc. and the neighborhood, or the Boys and Girls Club, was about after school enrichment and care, in large numbers for people. The neighborhood service center, the services that they're providing to our seniors in one of our facilities, Meals on Wheels, very similar services to our homebound and elderly, and obviously the Haley Center, tied back to indigent healthcare services. And of course, Winter Haven PEP, when that came on board, probably in the 2011-12 timeframe, as a means to help improve academics for the students. Those were things that the commissions at that time felt very passionate about and wanted to keep in play. And I think when we brought forward a program to open up the application process to others, that was a specific discussion that was held, was, okay, we're willing to do this, but the commission's take was, we want to make sure we don't harm those that were providing these other services in the process. And that's really how the budget for this program went from a relatively small amount
Right.
to over $300,000.
Yes.
We increased the dollar allocation to the program so as to maintain those funding levels while creating opportunities for others to apply.
And Kids Pack they applied in the normal process.
Kids
in the
Pack has
past,
been
right?
an applicant past couple years.
Yes, they've been a consistent applicant since we started this process.
I mean, you can make the argument that should they be a legacy? And I know they're not a legacy. They haven't been there for as long as some of the others, but that is such an invaluable program to our students in schools that would otherwise go home hungry at the end of every day. So, I think personally, I think if we can set that March 24th date, I can probably help. I know that I'll be able to answer that question better that's been proposed in this discussion. And it's just important to me that this group, these volunteers that are on this committee, don't ever go too long with wondering, well, what does the commission want to do? So this is not an easy job. We can't make it an easy job, but I want to make it as easy as we can for them. So if they've ever got any questions, please bring that to us, at the next available meeting, so we can give them the guidance as soon as possible.
We really appreciate all the work that they do,
For sure.
because we've had to do it. We don't want to go back.
And Commissioner Dawson, we did have a chance to meet with Dr. Jones. Had an orientation with her 2 weeks ago, I think it was now, and she picked right up on it, and she'll be a great member of that committee.
She would be an asset, very knowledgeable, lifelong resident of Winter Haven too. So also, retired school teacher, PhD. I think she could handle it.
So that was just an update on that program. I think we have some preliminary guidance from you, and we'll bring back the number of applicants and what that total ask is, and seek some further clarification on the dollar amount and commission priorities. Thank
All
you.
right. Anything else?
No, sir.
Any other reports? Any more comments?
Oh, I do have two things. I'm sorry. AJ, thank you.
I got the gavel up. You better be.
Yeah. So real quick, you got an update on Channel Lakes Park. We just got these pictures in late last night. This is your field that is lit. So off in the go back, please. In the background, you can see that's that body of water is actually the retention pond. And you can see the bridge of US 17 going over the canal there. Next slide. This is looking, let me see here. Field 1. So you're looking back towards the high rise off in the distance there. You can see the hotel, Holiday Inn that's over there. Some of the common areas around these fields. What is that's outside of the concrete, that is going to be mulched for now, but will come back and be concreted in as part of the gathering areas. We do have a tournament that kicks off, Julie, when? This weekend? This weekend we start a tournament here. So it's going to get used right away. And then next slide. This is just looking at the field level. And I thought this was interesting in the fact that you don't see spill from these lights. So you can see the background beyond the outfield fence is not lit up like the old high pressure sodium metal halide lights would be. These are very concentrated and direct. So again, lights are on, things are being cleaned up. We have a tournament that will start, that will play this weekend, and then we come right back the following weekend with Russ Mat kicking off until mid-March. So a lot happening there. And then the last thing I want to show you is the video. So Winter Haven Recreation and Cultural Center. Here's some drone footage of that site. If you have not had a chance to go by there. Julie, this is probably a week old now, so it looks different.
Yes.
There it goes. So this is looking back towards the main building, and you can see the gymnasium in the foreground there. These separated buildings at the bottom are for the aquatic center. And it will pan around and give you just a sense of the scale of it. If you see the people that are working around it, you can get a sense for how big the space is. Main lobby coming in. And then this is the gymnasium. Part of that floor remains to be poured, as you can see where the crane is working. I believe all the exterior walls are now tilted and in play, and you should see some of the roof trussing going on. But again, just a...
They're really moving.
It's huge, I think, but I think the gym was about 14,000 square feet, wasn't it? Something like that.
I want to say 17,
Sure.
but that's close.
It's big.
I don't know off the top
Pardon
of my
me.
head, but yes.
Seemed like I remember that because I think it was double the size of the old gym.
Yes, sir. It is that.
Is
The
that
old gym
for
was
sure?
about 7,000 square feet.
It's big enough to fit a crane inside. But it doesn't, it's just the shell of it now, and you can only imagine once the walls go in, and it's going to be quite an impressive site.
Well,
But again, just wanted to give you a little update on what's happening out there.
those are the other walls remaining walls that on the site there. That be
Yes, sir. And you can see there's still some tilt walls here that are poured on the gym floor that will be suspended or have already been suspended. So they use that foundation as a casting bed for a lot of the walls, and then they had to build some exterior ones as well.
So the walls are actually made on site.
Yes, sir. Poured on site, framed up, and they have I think 3 different reliefs on the walls to simulate brick, a wood finish, and then just a flat concrete finish. But you can see that's where they've poured some of those walls, those casting beds, and those were yet to be suspended.
That you can see right there where
That
the
is amazing.
relief is.
Yeah, they're lifting one of the walls right there.
Mhm.
That is amazing.
So moving quickly, but again, just
Nice.
a legacy project for this commission and certainly for this community, something to be very proud of.
That's a quick question on the field lighting.
Yes, sir.
So, and that picture may not be as clear as seeing it in person, but have we tested that field from the standpoint of hitting a ball out into the outfield? And is there, because light can be tricky in baseball, and you're out in the outfield and you lose the ball. We're comfortable with there's enough light for all that.
We are. The industry standard, we're going with the lighting provider for that project is Musco. And our team went and visited other ball fields where these same lighting systems were installed. And we had those questions for the programmers and the operators of those systems. But and I understand what you mean. If it's high enough, it leaves the light plane and then comes back in. But this is an industry standard. It is working for other places. And although I have not gone out and hit a ball yet. Eric said he wants to
Center
help.
field just looked a little dark on that.
Well, and
photo,
it's
so-
also the angle of the
and that
photo.
may be the case too.
So
yeah.
having built a number of ball fields, Mayor Pro Tem, you look at the foot candle distribution across the entire playing area. Infields will be a little brighter than outfields. But it's an engineered solution that is plotted out, and the placement of those lights and the directional aiming of those lights is it's a mathematical process that they go through to make sure that that's all right. And when they install those, they'll go out with an actual foot candle light meter and measure points on the field and then redirect the light as need be.
What's really neat about that too is that used to have to be done manually back in the dark ages when I used to play, but now that's all digital and that's all remote controlled. So the team that we've worked with the contractor and Musco Lighting, if there needed to be any adjustments, they were able to do that with an iPad and through an app.
So you can adjust those lights at the top of the pole with an iPad?
We can adjust the directional piece of that, not the height piece.
Gotcha.
I want to know, is the mayor going to throw out the first pitch?
You better be warming up now. I mean, get her going. Yes.
Pressure's on.
If you want to make a side wager on if it gets across the plate, I will not
your brother.
participate.
I want to film that. I used to pitch.
You're ready.
You got
That's
an
what
arm?
you're saying.
The nice thing is,
I played at the Rays game. Out the route, they used to have a Winter Haven day, and so I took a group of us over there, and I threw out the first pitch.
just in
It
case there's
wasn't a strike, but it was over the plate.
in case there's any concern, we do use portable mounds on these fields. There are not permanent pitching mounds. They're adjusted based upon the age group it's playing. So we can move that mound as close to home plate as it may or may not need to be.
I need about 2 feet.
Mayor will bring the heat.
That's right.
That's
That it?
everything. Just wanted those quick updates, sir.
All right, thanks. Anything else? If not, motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.